Hi everyone, it's the evening of the 14th of August 2020 and by heck it's been pretty hot here in the UK for the last, or in England anyway, for the last week, and it's been virtually impossible to do much work without, well, sweating pints. So anyway, today I managed to get the bearing off the hub here, and that was a bit of a struggle because I didn't have or my puller wouldn't go underneath the bearing and pull it off, so I had to get pretty crude really and use a screwdriver, a suitably sized screwdriver, to be able to knock down, and then some pair of cold chisels to make the gap wider still, but obviously not trying not to get down too far, otherwise you are going to cause trouble. And you can see here there's probably but I'll soon be able to flatten that out again with a bit of emery cloth, emery paper. The other job I did this afternoon was to be able to get the bearing races out, as you can see here. Now the way I did that was to use a suitably sized screwdriver down these slots here. Actually, that's the one for the other side. There's another one there for the back one. Anyway, what you do is you put your suitably sized screwdriver at the back here, of course, and it's difficult with trying to do this with one pair of hands, and you just knock it out. You lay it on the back of the race here and just well it out, trying not to cause any damage to the aluminium parts of the hub carrier. Okay, now this is obviously full of grease and everything, so it's got to be cleaned out, and the whole thing is pretty gunged up and needs cleaning obviously. And you can see here, this is where the ABS sensor fits, and there should be a green O-ring in there, and in fact there was one. Now I've seemed to have lost it, though I didn't particularly care in that. Hopefully I'll be able to replace it before it all goes back in again. And see the interior, it's pretty gunky out there, and there's the interior, all got to be cleaned out there of course. Now the next job is to pull these bearings out for the shaft on either side, and I'm going to do it in order because I'm sure I'm going to get myself mixed up if I'm not careful. Anyway, I'll start on that now and set the camera up somewhere, see what we can obtain, or one camera up anyway, and see what we can video. See you later. Okay, this is Sunday the 16th of August 2020, and you can see I've got the bearings and shims out of the lower housing, and this is the sequence in which they came out. This is the passenger side, and this side here is the back of the car, and that side the front. Now you can see they've been quite well lubricated, or were in the past, because I think that's probably grease from the factory. And you can now see on the back side, or what would be the rear side, there are 3 shims, and on the other side 1 shim. You can see the wear here on the race, which you can see really is quite extensive. You might be able to see that. So there has been problems there in the past, and it's a good job I've done this, and because they were about on their last legs. Now to see, to get that race out, I've got to use a screwdriver down that slot from the other end and knock it out, and that's going to be my next job. Unfortunately I won't be able to hold the camera while I do it, so I'll come back to you later. Well, here we are everyone, it's 27th of September, and autumn has really hit us now. As you can, if I put the camera out there's my copper beech, and it is turning already. Let's get back to the job in hand. I started doing the, at long last, doing the fulcrum shaft, the outer fulcrum shaft, and I've had quite a bit of problems with it. Too much information, most of it wrong, and it's been very confusing. So here we are. I've made a few alterations, or done things differently anyway. I've got here a piece of 16mm studding with appropriate nuts, and secured the bottom nut in the vise. On top of that I've put one of the inner fulcrum bearers underneath, and on top of that is a smaller washer which is holding the distance piece. On top of that you can see is the bearing on top, and then we go up then to the, I think there's one shim in there on top of the bearing, and two at the top of the tube there. Now the original tubes came in pairs, and these are obviously, as you can see, singular, as were the original ones I took off, to be honest. Now in between they had two shims. To replicate this, I've added two shims at the top underneath that bearing that you see there, and I've replicated the method I've used for mounting the shaft at the top there. Obviously I haven't put the hub on yet, but I'm just about to do that, but it's a bit difficult to try and film that. I've only got one pair of hands, and you probably need two or three, so I'll come back to you. Right. Okay, and I'm about to set the preload up, which I think is the right way. Well, it's my way of doing it anyway. Whether it's right or not, I have no idea. So I've got it, obviously got the hub on, and I've got the washers in position. Now I'm going to torque it up to just under 100 pounds, and see what happens then. There you go, thankfully. All I've got to do now is undo it. And grease everything up. Oh, shim gone. Not the best way of doing things, I have to move anyway. Well everyone, it's the 28th of September and you can start putting the bearings back in permanently. But I'm also making an alteration in that I'm not going to use these felt washers or felt oil seals because frankly I don't like them, and I made one hell of a boo-boo on the other one. So, going through the internet, I found people in the States were using what I would call normal oil seals, such as these. And the number is 11123. They're the same size as the felt ones. And so that's what I'm going to do now. First thing then is we need to get some grease down there. No, first thing is we need to pack that bearing, other bearing. This is what we need to do. It takes a bit of practice to do it, but what you have to do is force the grease into the rollers so it goes all the way through. It's a bit messy, so it starts coming through to the other side. Yeah. Pays to push the middle down a bit. Go over both sides. Like that. Just put that there for a moment. Wipe our hands. Also make sure you've got your shims handy, and we'll just put a bit down into the air. Of course we can do this. This is just to make sure there's grease on the bearing. Make sure it's shoved down there onto the race. So, bit of grease on the edge of the bearing, followed by the shim, just hold it in position. slide it over the shaft. Also ensure that you have this little tit on the end of the shaft facing backwards. You can then place our seal carefully in position, followed by spacer, or you could actually, I think it's better to put a bit of grease around the outside of the seal and also on the middle. Push your spacer through carefully, position over the shaft, and just make sure it's fairly straight. I don't want to damage this. Okay, now we need to get our nut if I can find one. Use an old nut if you can. Don't want to use the new ones just yet. Now in the meantime, we've got to put our ring round, the thick black ring. Go on, it should do. Like that. And we also have the thin ring, so I can find one. There we go. Make sure it's clean. Place that over the ring, over the shaft, and make sure it locates onto the outside of the thicker ring. If it will go. Position like that, so that's all straight. Screw it down a little bit. Just make sure it stays in position. And we go back onto the other side and do that. No, we can't. I've done that wrong as usual. So I'll have to start again. I'm sorry. Hang on. I had a special shaft. Oh, I made a special shaft for doing this job and I haven't fitted it. We'll have another go in a minute. Right, we'll have another go. You'll see I've set it up on this side again. Okay. Here's the seal for the other side, and I've already fitted the distance piece. This is the shaft I'd made up for myself. I'm just going to slide it over the end. Just rest it on the casting. Put your ring, inner ring you might say, in position. Followed by the thinner ring of the two. Now we need to get a washer on there. Like that. Make sure it goes in. Find the nut. Hopefully it starts the thread. Not too much problem. The thread's got slightly damaged on the shaft, but it should go on. Okay, now before you start tightening up, make sure everything is located correctly. Jesus, no. And tighten up gently, making sure that the seal goes in evenly on both sides. Go. Sure everything locates correctly. Take it down as far as you can, otherwise you won't get it in between the arms on the as far as you can, either both sides. And this side's fully located, so I'm not quite, I think it would go in. Previous one went in very easily indeed, after much struggle. I think using these lip seals is far superior to the old method of using these things. So I think I'll need my dummy shaft. Which of course is well greased. This is actually a piece of 5/16 aluminium bar, which has been turned down just a little bit, so it gives me clearance down the arrow. I'll put that on there. In fact, we can show that. Nope. I might use a persuader. Using the soft end, just give it a little tap, like so. the dummy shaft in after it. If you can. And a little bit of persuasion may be required. No, that has not gone on straight. Shit. Better. Where's the outer ring gone? There it is. So it should be more or less flush with the casting. On both sides. It's such a bit of a cack-handed way of doing things, but I don't think there's been any problems. Now we need to offer the hub up to the swinging arm, and then I'll come back to you.